Click on it. You see a little red dot.
It says it's recording, but you know me.
Well, and then usually when you end it, you hit stop and then leave the meeting, it'll auto save it to your computer. It'll ask like where you want to save it.
Yeah, and I'll just be like, I don't know, surprise me.
I just did this today, and it worked.
Oh. All right. Welcome to a socially distant Bladtcast. This is nothing new. Usually we are anti-social distancing. We happen to all be in the same room. I'm Christian Blatt, reporting live from the bunker, which I wish everybody can see. I'll make sure that I take a photo at some point. I have done videos from this spot. I did a comic unbagging from this. You can find that on the Bladtcast YouTube page. Joined by William J. Starling, who it's amazing, and we have to make sure that you take a picture because you have on a white t-shirt in front of a white wall with a white hallway, and there's some white light behind you. I'm pretty sure that Will is here as St. Peter, welcoming us to the heaven that is the Bladtcast. Jeff DeRay is connecting to audio. This is very exciting. Nobody can see that, but we see it. Do you see that Jeff DeRay is connecting, or do you not see it?
It does.
Yeah. It's very exciting. So we've got Will Starling. Jeff DeRay is coming right up, as they say.
All the white it's to keep me sterile. It's to keep me clean, also sterile. Maybe I can't make kids currently, that kind of sterile too. I don't know. It could be doing all the things, but I believe in in a clean surface space, including myself and my clothing.
Yeah, no, look, these are all very important things. So is Jeff DeRay with us, or possibly DeRay Jeff?
I'm here. I don't know if you can hear me.
We can hear you fine. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay. We don't see you, but I feel like you want it that way.
I mean, I'm trying to work the settings because the audio's not even coming through the right place.
Oh, so it's not coming out of my butt?
But what?
Christian, I like that your bunker looks like a couple of things. One, the place that a parent has stored all their children's old memorabilia that they're coming home to get one day. Two, maybe a records storehouse for a police precinct where you'd have to go down to get old files for an old murder case. Or three, the place where you keep your tied up victims.
Well, this is the back room in my garage, and it has a little bit of all those things. So there are these box of comics. This one actually says comics on it.
And you keep in a long box? What's wrong with you?
I don't have the room for it. So my mom at my house, she bought all these boxes from Staples, and she put all my comics in them, and then she put them in the attic. And then the next time I came home, I dragged them all down out of the attic because I'm like, you can't keep comics in the attic. That's insane. So
you gotta
and
put
then
them in the basement.
When I moved out here, I shipped them all to me like media mail, so it was relatively cheap. I do think that one of the boxes got lost, but it's fine. But I've got plenty of comics here, because who doesn't want to read the Ewoks? So I've got the Ewoks right here, and I don't know. I have a lot of stuff. I have a ton of Star Wars toys down here in the garage, so. I will do.
Is that where all my Aquaman comics went when you obviously decided never to read them? You just put them down.
No, the Aquaman comics are upstairs in the bedroom at the desk, along with 100 other comics that I'm hoping to read one day. Anyway.
You have nothing but time now, Christian. Nothing but time.
You would think that, but as we'll discuss, I have hardly any time. But I would love to have some time. In any case, Jeff DeRay, we've just been talking circles around you. How are you doing?
I'm alive.
Okay. That certainly beats the alternative. Now, both of you gentlemen are working from home on various podcasts, correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's fairly obnoxious of me to ask if, hey, during your free time, would you like to get back on Zoom and do more podcasting?
I mean, it's, it can't be escaped. Every day Every day I'm podcasting. Instead of hustling, every day I'm podcasting.
You can make a video for that. Every day I'm podcasting. It would
Every
sort
day
of
I'm
fit.
podcasting.
Podcasting, yeah, that would be fun. And Jeff, how are you finding this arrangement? I feel like it plays into some of your strengths of avoiding people.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly have no issue in terms of changing any part of my daily life.
Yeah, no, look, I get it. I do believe, though, that you practice something that I was talking about not that long ago. You practice anti-social distancing. So you're actually 12 feet away from everyone.
No, it's actually social excommunication, where you try to cut everyone out of your life, even if they're strangers. You go, I'm not talking to you. And they go, I wasn't even trying to talk to you. You say, stop talking to me. I'm done with this conversation. And you walk away.
Yeah. So obviously this whole thing is beyond crazy. You know, the last time we did a Bladtcast was actually a couple weeks ago at Will's house. And we were all there, and we were making plans to do it again the next week. Believe it or not, our old Bladtcast friend Jason Blair, he drove out from Austin to Southern California, and part of their plans was to go to Disneyland. And literally, he had been in the car for 1 hour when he found out that Disneyland was closing. And I was like, and you still drove like the 20 hours? He ended up leaving early, but there was a scenario when things, you know, it all happened. It changed so quickly. I never even got around to saying like, hey, Will, when we record, can we do it at the beginning of the week? Jason Blair would come over. We could still have some fun. And then it just was like, oh yeah, nobody's going anywhere. You know, I mean, we recorded, I forget what day that was. That was 2 Tuesdays ago, I think. Unless I'm mistaken.
That sounds right.
It was 2 Tuesdays ago. And I went to a concert the next night on that Wednesday night, and you know we were
alone.
I mean, I met up with the publicists and some people from a record company, but believe me, it was.
Well, you know how we go to the Kiss concert.
We went to we went to the Kiss concert. Yeah, that was the even before. So the Kiss concert is now 3 weeks ago. So we were in, and I saw Katie walk by, and that was lovely to see her.
Yes,
but in any case, we're 3 weeks removed from the Kiss concert, where we were at the Staples Center with 20,000 people. And I have to say, in the week after that, there were a few times where I'm like, whoo, boy, that was a lot of people. A lot of people that I don't know how clean they were, you know? And then you start to find out that pretty much everybody who visited Staples Center the week after, all the teams that visited the Lakers or the Clippers, not all of them, I'm exaggerating, but a lot of people who went to Staples Center ended up getting it. And then, you know, so then it was like, I was a little bit more nerve-wracking, you know what I mean? But, you know, I feel like we're well past in the clear. I believe it or not, I have a friend who, he got a PhD in infectious diseases, and he's like working in Laos right now. And so whenever I have one of my freakouts, I text him and I'm like, well, yeah, but what about this? What does this mean? What do you think? You know, and he's been like pretty cool about it and very understanding that obviously we're pretty freaked out. He lives in a country right now in Laos where they've done 100 tests and 0 people have it. And I'm like, all right, so there's the time in my life where I'm like, God, why don't I live in Laos?
What's the entire population of Laos?
It's a great question.
Because what's the ratio? You know?
Yeah,
I think it's pretty lousy there.
Oh, you brought the bell.
Yeah, I mean that would be.
It was very loud for a moment.
Yeah, and then it quieted it down for us because it was too much.
It was just too
much.
But
I love is that when Christian talks, it's Christian's video. When I talk, my face isn't bigger, but when Jeff talks, it just says the words Jeff Durant.
Yeah.
Hey, you gotta
know this name, bitch.
You gotta keep the brand out there, you know.
I figured out how I could turn my video on, but I'd have to quit out of the chat for a minute.
Oh, it's fine. We're not recording. People don't need to see
No.
our faces.
I do wish that that I had figured out how to. I don't know. I can't do this through YouTube, but I do wish there was a way that people could watch us live. I think we have to do it on something else, but I don't know. I just wanted to get our distance socialized enough where we got to catch up. First of all, it was nice because I wanted to chat with all of you gentlemen, and by all of you I mean both of you. But
I am sipping my quarantini also. If anybody's
your quarantine. Now, what is in the quarantini?
Just cold gin, Christian. You know that.
Oh, so wait a minute. So I'm sorry that when you're feeling down, you need something that can bring
me up.
All right.
Exactly.
Well, that's a great transition. Well, where I feel like we should let everybody know. Well,
that's true. Actually, that wasn't even planned, but that's.
I know, but that's a great transition. Where I want to let everybody know that next Tuesday, March 31st, Jeff will be invited to, but he is by no means obligated to join us for a live tweeting where we're all going to listen to Kiss Alive, the first one, and we'll probably tweet during our favorite Paul Stanley audience raps and just talk about the songs and who knows what else.
This is a live album?
It's a live concert album, and we're just going to listen to it and tweet it.
I'll be a part of this as long as it's on video and recorded.
Well, you being recorded?
I'll have my video working that time.
Okay. Well, if we can figure out how to do it, there's
gonna be a lot of shots of my face being like, "What the fuck is this?"
I know. Well, I was just gonna tweet it, but
it's a live tweet, not a recording.
And also,
live tweeting.
Jeff.
Speaking of live tweeting, I feel like it's time, like 5 years in, that we really do live tweet the director's cut of Daredevil.
Yeah, we have to.
And I just think we need to really just pick a day.
There's no time like the quarantine, Christian. You know that.
I say we do it when the Snyder cut comes out.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Do you think we could get Zack Snyder to take all of the footage of Daredevil and do his own cut? Can we get a Zack Snyder cut of Daredevil?
I would love that. I mean, it has been Affleck, so he'd probably say yeah.
Yeah, sure. I don't know why he would.
Also, don't let it be lost that it's called Kiss Alive Tweet. That's what we're doing.
Kiss Alive. That'll be the hashtag. Hashtag Kiss Alive Tweet.
Yeah.
And either way, Jeff can certainly be a part of it. We're not trying to exclude you. We did exclude you from going to see Kiss because I felt like there was no reason for to subject you to that. Anyway,
I've seen them once.
You saw Kiss perform?
No, I didn't go to see them perform, but they performed at something I was at, which was the Stadium Series hockey game between the Kings and the Ducks.
I remember that, and unless I'm mistaken, I believe they lip synced that performance.
I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
It would have made a lot of sense because they were up on whatever they're called, the little cherry picker things.
Yeah.
They're basically on cherry pickers with pyrotechnics out in the field where you're just I can see everything that I'm not supposed to, and this just looks stupid. And so it was just you're definitely not playing those instruments, and you're definitely just yelling or fake yelling while I listen to what's clearly you're recording, and then fire shoots. So it was cool. But
yeah, well, that was when they decided to have an outdoor hockey game at Dodger Stadium in April.
Oh yeah.
And I actually think it was February, but I remember reading about that the surface turned very slushy during the course. The Zamboni was working overtime.
Because of the hot heat of Kiss's fire?
Well, they probably needed somebody to call out the firehouse. And it's funny that we're doing that because that grew out of the fact that our friends in Kissed Alive, the Southern California Kiss tribute band, they did something pretty cool. They did a free concert on Facebook and I sent you the link, and then we were kind of going back and forth about that. And then that's where I was like, well, let's live tweet the album. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
And I don't know. And also, I do really want to do that Daredevil thing. We just
I do too.
really
It's amazing that we prioritized Kiss Alive tweet over the Daredevil.
That was just the two of us talking. I didn't want to speak for Jeff, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you guys want to, we could plan to do that on like April Fool's Day. We
absolutely should.
We could do it the next day. We could do that at like 9 p.m. Pacific on April 1st. What do you guys think about that?
Oh yeah, you know that thing where on Google you can on Google Chrome you can watch Netflix with your friends.
Oh yeah, sure.
You can?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Isn't it called Netflix Party?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's a thing.
Netflix Party.
But to get the director's cut of Daredevil, I've looked it up. You will have to either buy it. I think you.
Stick?
Yes, definitely. But I think you'll have to rent it for like $2.99 or $3.99, depending on which platform you go. Now I've got the DVD, so I'm good.
That's true. I'll have to get it on Amazon Prime, for $7 or whatever. I might as well just buy it. I might as well just own it because it's, I'm gonna want to watch that a million times.
A million times, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Speaking of, what are your feelings on these like movies that went from theater to like? So some of them you can buy, some of them you can rent. The ones like from Universal that they just want you to rent for $20. I'm like, that's a fucking joke. That's more than a ticket.
No. If you go to ArcLight, that shit's like $18, and you got to buy two if you're on a date or you're going with somebody. Like, I'm like $20. I'm like, that's fine.
I understand.
Yeah, but that's for a rental versus owning it.
Yeah, but a movie theater viewing is technically a rental on a big screen.
For sure, but all the other studios are letting you just buy their shit early.
Oh, okay. Universal.
So there's only 3 movies from Universal that you can have to rent for $20. Everything else you can buy.
Because they know.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, look, I think that they just figure we're not making any money on it. Let's make it for a little while. I mean, to Will's point, it's like if it's a movie like that Trolls movie that was going to come out in the middle of April, that was the first one I heard about. It's like, yeah, it's just going to premiere on demand. And that's like, look, if you were going to take your kids, that's like probably somewhere around $60 to $80. So yeah, a $20 rental. And I think you get it for like 48 hours. So, I mean, those kids are basically, you're going to have to prop their eyes open Clockwork Orange style and just be like, you guys are watching this movie for 48 hours. That's what a 48-hour rental is. It means you watch the movie for 48 hours. Or you watch the movie 48 hours with Nick Nolte and Eddie Murphy. Either way, the kids are happy.
Yeah.
But no, I get what Will's saying, but yeah, I get that too, that, one day you'll be able to own it for like $5, but you do have to rent it for $20. Will and I were talking before we actually started, Jeff. They announced today that Wonder Woman 1984 is going to come out in August instead of June. And there were people that were hoping that it would come out on demand, but I don't know what you think, Jeff, but I'm like, no, of course you're not going to do that with a movie of that size and that scope. You're just going to make people wait, right, Jeff?
Yeah, well, there's certain movies that it's like, yeah, no, you got to fucking make them wait because the theater experience is very much like a definitive experience for some of these things. Like, you'll never see it the same way you would have if you go to a theater. And I mean, there's obviously also something to be said for that, like, group experience aspect. But like things like Wonder Woman, they want you to go to the theater because the point you just made where it's like, okay, the best they can get you to do is buy a rental for $20 if they want to try and gouge you for something. And then you can watch it with all your friends versus going to the theater, seeing it, loving it, and being like, well, I'm going to pay $20 again to go see it again with my friends in IMAX. And then another time because I'm Will and I love Wonder Woman.
I mean, I do. What? Yeah.
Of course he does. Yeah, and look, I mean, and Disney did the same thing with Black Widow. It was supposed to come out May 1st, and they don't have a release date for it yet. But it was like, of course it's not. And it's like people weren't even asking for that to be on demand. They're like, hey, how about they put that on Disney Plus? The thing that we've already paid for. So
Right.
essentially, they're asking for Black Widow to be given to them for free.
Yeah.
They're
And
putting that Onward movie that they had in theaters on Disney Plus April 3rd.
yeah, well, right now that's the answer to the trivia question. What's the last movie that I ever saw in a movie theater was Onward, because I
You
brought
did?
I brought the kids to a press screening of it at the El Capitan, and it was cute, but it was a little old for them. It like didn't hold Lucy's interest, and Felix liked it enough, but I don't know. It seems to have been for older kids. But yeah, so I mean, I see them doing that because to Disney, they're like, we've made as much money theatrically as we possibly can because it's already come out. Because they saw this coming enough where Mulan didn't get a release date, and to my
Well, it was already happening in China, and you know that they're capitalizing on the China market for some of the Mulan, at least.
Yeah, I mean, the first
Chinese, not China. Sorry,
right.
I sound like Trump.
Yeah, the Chinese virus. Yeah.
The China market, the China movie.
The China movie, the China box office.
Yeah, there is a if there is a China for me to have, it's gonna be the Chinese virus. Everybody knows that I love China more than anybody else.
I asked Ivanka if she'd show me her vagina, but she said no.
The first big movie that they moved was Fast and Furious. It was going to come out. It was going to come out in May, and they're like, "Yep, 2021." And you're like, "Wait, what?
April.
What are you, the Olympics?"
Why does it have to be in May?
That's what I remember. Like,
it's gonna be May.
That if there could be a new term for jumping the shark, that franchise has jumped the shark obviously a long time ago and continued to jump the shark each and every time they make another one. But when I was like, there's a part of me that was like, even though I hated number 8 and I hated Hobbs and Shaw, and it's not the same without Paul Walker, I was like, I like a summertime Fast and Furious movie. I was like, maybe I'll go see number 9. And they're like, push it back to next April. And I was like, yeah, there's no way that it's worth pushing back to next April. Like, this gives you way more time to fix bullshit digital effects and do a whole bunch of stuff and
reshoots.
Well, yeah, that's what I said when it happened. I was like, I think that has less to do with the virus than it does with, we need to basically reshoot the whole movie.
So, yeah, I bet it's more like they had this date. They were capitalizing on having to release this movie at this time, and then they're like, well, shit, this is as good as it was gonna get. And then when this thing hit, they were like, saving grace, we have a year to fix our movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
which they won't, but here's what they're gonna do. Look, I just want to put it out there on the internet for the studios to steal, because if they can, and they will save the franchise, all they need is anybody from the thing. I mean, since it's going to have to be digital anyways, you can even have Paul Walker doing it. Just literally go do something in the sea, jump onto a shark, and then jump it over something, and just do a literal shark jump, and I'm on board with the series once again.
This is as good a time as any to mention. I've only ever seen a half hour of one of those movies. I think it was the 6th one. It was like I was at a friend's house and we were supposed to go out, and they kept watching it on HBO, and I'm like, so, I mean, are we going, or like, why? And the problem is always like, I can't see Vin Diesel in a movie and not just think Vin Diesel is talking right now. Oh, look, Vin Diesel is doing this. Like, he's the least actor-y actor that I've ever seen. And yes, I'm putting Tommy Wiseau ahead of him. I can suspend disbelief because, oh, hi, Mark. It's fine. By the way, if they ever did need a new voice for Groot, it should be Tommy Wiseau.
What are your feelings on Diesel as a director? Because, Spielberg said it's a crime against humanity that he's not doing more directing.
What did he direct?
Did Spielberg really say that?
Strays. Yeah, something like that.
Wow. Crime against humanity. You'd think that the guy who made Schindler's List wouldn't throw that term around.
he said it's more of a crime against humanity than anything that happened during the Holocaust.
Yeah. He's like, this is a cinematic Holocaust. I'm not taking it back.
I wanted to see Vin Diesel in the red dress. I wanted to see him in the red when everything was black and white.
Then the other one that they did was the James Bond movie, No Time to Die, was supposed to come out at the beginning of April, and they're like, nope, November. And when that happened, I'm like,
time for a release.
And when that happened, I was like, well, that's crazy. Why are they going all the way to November? And then you're like, oh, right, because nobody's going to do anything until November.
Yeah. Also, that Thanksgiving box office, you know?
Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, I don't know. Do you think that Wonder Woman release in August is overly optimistic? I'll ask you first, Jeff.
Yeah. I mean, based on some even more recent information I just heard. So, I mean, look, everything at this point, we're literally all stuck in our homes if we're being good citizens, relying on the internet for information when we know that the internet is filled with disinformation. So you're just kind of like, well, fuck me. But Natasha was reading some article earlier about people who get corona a second time, and it was more specifically people who had been treated the first time they had it, but it was like, it damages your heart, and if you get it a second time, you just suddenly die. So it's just like, yeah, it's this is seeming like more and more like a, you know, nightmare. So probably a little optimistic.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah, I think that look, the first indication for me that I think that maybe we really need to be taking this more seriously was, let's see, Friday, March 13th. Oh, Friday the 13th. And that was when we went to pick the kids up at their school, and there was a sign up that said, yeah, we're closed for 2 weeks. And we're like, wait, what now? We didn't get told this in the morning when we dropped them off. And I'm like, 2 weeks? That sounds so long. And then within like a day, you're like, oh, it's going to be a lot longer than 2 weeks. Cause like school, like actual school. So my kids are in a preschool. It's not like an actual like public school. We have to pay to send them there. So they're not like subjected to the same things. But when you heard that at least, I don't know, LA USD is closed for the whole year, I think. And now school ends crazy early here, like the end of May, but that's there started to be these things where you're like, oh, like when we talked two Tuesdays ago, I was still of the, look, obviously wash your hands, be careful, just don't really, don't do anything stupid, wash your hands. And obviously go to the restaurants because that's great. You should go to the restaurant. Sure, go to the movie. And again, like I said, I went to a concert on Wednesday, the March 11th, and it was at one point they were saying like no gatherings of 1,000 people, and then it was like 500, and then it was 250. There were about 250 people at this Soul Asylum concert that I went to. So.
Soul Asylum, yeah.
Yeah, well, hey,
the entire fan base.
The entire Southern California fan base, and we're basically 2 weeks out from that. So now's the part where I get to say out loud that I'm so glad that I went to a concert before we couldn't go to anything. So anyway, that's sort of my roundabout way. I'm trying to figure out, when did you first start? I'll ask Will first. When did you start to think like, oh, this is more serious than I thought it was? Were you already thinking that when we talked? Let's see, that was on March 10th. Or no. Sometime. Yeah, okay. When was it for you?
This the thing is, like, I've always asked myself, I'm like, am I not taking this seriously enough, or are other people taking this too seriously? So, like, I never really knew where I stood because I'm not prone to panic. I think that if we can, like, find our calmness, like, in these things, like, we can help each other, and that tends to be, I'm more like calm, cool, and collected, luckily, in a panic, but also I don't try not to be like cavalier during it. And I feel like it was probably, I'm looking at my calendar, like, just to think, like, It's probably last Monday, the 16th.
Okay.
Because like I was supposed to have like a hangout with some friends on Tuesday for St. Patrick's Day. Like they were going to come over here, and I still followed through on that, and they did come here. But then I was like, maybe we don't do this for a while. You know what I mean? I was like,
Yeah.
I had a good time. It was just 2 people, so it wasn't crazy. And it was like, but I just remember like after they left, I was like, yeah, I should probably call this off for a little while. So
yeah. No, I look.
St. Patty's Day.
Now that you say it, I remember seeing that you did something for St. Patty's Day, and I didn't know that only 2 people came over. And I was like, oh, Will's having a party. Will is a college student on spring break in Florida, like, you know, a week after the rest of the country was already locked down. Obviously, I didn't quite think that. Jeff, when did you start to think like, oh, okay, this is a little bit more serious than I thought?
I don't know. I mean, I think my thoughts from our last podcast reflected that I thought it was pretty serious.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It definitely seems like it frustrates me how cavalierly this continues to get treated by different people, and it's really frustrating that the economy and capitalism and making money seem to be at the forefront of people's minds instead of like saving people's lives. It's like you're literally assigning a dollar value to people's lives. And I'm not just referring to Trump continually tweeting like, let's get back to work, this can't ruin our economy, I need to get good.
Yeah.
He said today, he was like, they were like, he was like, I don't know, they do like eat by Easter or like whatever.
It's going to be Easter's a beautiful time.
Yeah, but
it's
they
going
were
to be
like,
a great time. We're going to
they were
have
like, how do you know? And he was like, I don't know, they're just working on things, so I guess why not? Like in
we're gonna put the Easter bunny in quarantine from now until Easter. He's gonna be the cleanest Easter bunny you've ever seen. He's gonna do the hop. He's gonna hide the eggs.
Just that in like a public statement, the President of the United States, who has obviously negative understanding of any of this, said, why not? Like, yeah, why not?
Dude, I mean, the things that he said and the things that Fox News like parrots for him right now is literally going to get people killed. Like when you hear people like reflect some of these things, like it's just a flu bug, or like call it the China flu or something, you just go like, oh my God, like, I really thought better of people than this. Like I really genuinely thought that there was a limit to which people could stop disappointing me with their stupidity, but there's not. It's like it's really disheartening. You know, I think a great example is like not to call her out at all, but it's like Natasha's work, right? I kind of was and she one person, like one of the managers, is staying home, and there was a lot of concern, and so you know, she switched it up to curbside and stuff like that to close the showroom and all this stuff. But they went from basically like doubling their profit to halving their profit after 2 days or something.
Right.
And the owner boss is forced them to now reopen the showroom. And I'm at the point of basically being like, I keep being like, don't do this. Like, don't, like, you need to get through to this person that this is like a terrible idea. And I mean, obviously it's a little bit of hyperbole. It's a lot of hyperbole, but it's like, I equated it to like, you know, people are starting to move into that territory. Because again, if this gets bad enough, retroactively, it will look this way of like, you're just following orders. You know what I mean? Like, oh, we need to get back to work. Oh, you demanding that all your employees get back to work or else they might lose their jobs because you'll have to find someone else to fill them, is basically like you marching a bunch of people into a gas chamber to get a deadly infectious disease. Like it might kill them. So it's just like, what the fuck is going on with people?
It's worth reminding people that Natasha works at a marijuana dispensary here in the Los Angeles area, and that was, I believe, still is considered an essential service. Am I not correct?
It is, I mean, because there are medical patients,
sure.
like there's medicinal marijuana. So the idea is that like some people do genuinely need this. And I think in general, like the idea is like retail shops should be able to stay open because it does have this double effect of like, hey, these people still did have jobs. They still do have hours. Maybe you're reducing hours, but like you're finding ways to continue to stimulate the economy by like finding workarounds for different industries that would have no way of being able to work from home, right? But you're doing it in a way where you go, let's maximize safety before profit. And that's not how capitalism works. I understand that, but it's just like, it's the way we need to work. And if we're all on board with socialism in terms of sending stimulus check to every American, why aren't we in turn on board with the other things that are going to protect and help us in a time that like we've never faced before?
Right.
Yeah, no, look, I think that, and first of all, the idea of, it would be great to be able to jumpstart the economy and not be closed for too long. Sure, again, that's like how I was hoping that Black Widow would come out May 1st. Which I wasn't even like super like pumped for that movie, but I'm just using it as an example. It's like, yeah, you want that. And sure, you think that and to be fair, there are parts of the country that you probably could open within some, beyond where we are right now. But in places like Los Angeles and especially New York, where just people are so on top of each other and you're just hearing about all these cases, it's very irresponsible to give people the false hope. Before President Trump said that, you had like a tweet that I saw a lot of people respond to, where Laura Ingraham was saying that, no, we need to have a day when this is over. You can't just string this along indefinitely. And then, people would answer things like, oh, okay, so let's ask the virus. Let's see when it's going to be done with us. And
you're gonna start.
I have a date for the end of the virus. It is January 21st, 2021, when Trump is taken out of the White House.
And
look, the day that politically this virus will be over. The media will stop talking about it. We'll all stop. Look, hey, Republicans, if you really believe that this is all just a hoax by the Democrats, vote Democrat, get your guy out of the office, and we'll stop it, right? We'll just stop it.
Yeah. Play into our viral plans of socialism and fucking public works programs.
You don't have too many people that are calling it a hoax anymore, but you did have our president calling it a hoax. That's going back like 4 to 6 weeks. And there was
not that long ago.
No, it's not that long ago. No, agreed. And I was reading an interview with Tucker Carlson, and it pointed out that he was actually the person who, when all the cable news was focused on the impeachment that everybody knew wasn't going to remove the president from office, he talked to somebody who's like, oh, no, I saw these numbers and this is going to be really bad. So he's been talking about this for a long time. And the interviewer was trying to get him to sell out people like Sean Hannity and Laura Ingraham, who up until early March were still saying like, this is a plot by the Democrats to try and make Trump look bad. Don't believe it. Go out and go to restaurants. So he wouldn't call them out. He's like, yeah, I don't really watch a lot of TV. I don't know what other people do. I just thought it was important. And I guess he was at an event. Tucker Carlson was.
Tuck the Chiseler did this?
Tuck the Chiseler. Tucker Carlson was at an event at Mar-a-Lago, and he went over to President Trump and was like, listen, I know what everybody's telling you. This thing's actually really important.
Oh, shit.
And that's actually, I don't think that's the minute he started taking it seriously, but he must have asked somebody like, okay, well then because look, he gets a lot of his, and I know the politics of some of the people who listen to the Bladtcast. People either like Trump or they've grown accustomed to him or they dislike Democrats enough. And it's hard to
Which
not
is to say that me and Jeff will die on our liberal hill.
No, but
our C-cup shaped socialist boob hill.
Yeah, and look, it's not.
I like D's. D's nuts.
I'm just saying they gotta,
It's hard to there's things you can give him a pass on, but this was one where, yes, they point out that there was a pandemic response arm of Homeland Security that he disbanded. There was a CDC person in Beijing that he eliminated the position. And again, that's not even him, let's be honest. It's his administration. Somebody did it and he was like, sounds great. I have the best people working for me. It's fine. So, you know, again, that part's not on him. And him calling it the Chinese virus, everybody's like, oh my God, that's so racist. It's the most racist. And yeah, sure, it's a racist thing to do, but it's also very calculated. It's very smart from whoever told him to do that. Because every time he says that, he's reminding people who are inclined to vote for him, it's not his fault. It started in China. Yeah, maybe we didn't handle it the way we should have, but it's the Chinese virus. And as badly prepared as we were, we didn't have our government going, you know, sending police to the doctor who was warning everyone and telling him you have to stop warning people and we're going to take your samples as to what this was. And you had the Chinese government saying, oh, no, people can't transmit it from one to the other. You just have to drink bat soup or whatever, you know, whatever the crazy stories were.
The parents have to be murdered in an alley.
And that, by the way, that if Christopher Nolan had made a fourth Batman movie, Bat Soup is what it was going to be called. I don't know if you guys knew that. Yeah.
But it also was going to be like a revitalized, like a remake of the Marx Brothers movie Duck Soup, except only with Batman characters and everyone was sick. Yeah.
Yeah, but instead of squeezing the horn, you're going to have the bell in it a lot.
I gotta.
So,
all right,
go
wait,
ahead.
give me. Well, you guys keep talking. I gotta plug my laptop in. I'll be right back.
Oh my gosh, Will needs a charge. He needs a charging. So you know, it's very easy to blame President Trump because he is at fault for this. You know, are not being prepared. I think it still would have ended up in this country. I just think maybe we would have done something sooner, and it's hard to say, in all honesty. Jeff, I don't know. It's obviously not a fan of President Trump, but what do you think? How much do you think this is his fault? You know, do you think?
Absolutely don't think it's his fault.
Okay.
By any means. Like the disease, the fact that it's in America, the fact that it's spreading, it's not his fault. Like the way that this virus spreads and the continued information that we find out about it, it's like nobody was going to be able to stop this thing. Where he's at fault is his response. Where he's at fault is the things that he's saying that at this point, it seems should be knowingly leading people down the wrong path. And it's like, it shouldn't be any more obvious than the fact that every press conference he has about this, where there's official people there, they immediately have to come out and correct everything he says. And it's just like, that shouldn't, like, just stop speaking then. Like, I'm at the point where I think, and I know you can't do this, and it's like, oh, you just got yelled at for saying nothing, and he probably would, but it's like, I think that if he said he was doing it so that he could stop harming everybody, like, Democrats wouldn't say anything if Trump just shut the fuck up about this completely. Like, never mentioned it again. You can have other officials have press conferences. You just don't ever need to say anything else about it.
Yeah, and you have that guy, I don't know, Fauci, I guess is how you say it, who's like, he seems to be the guy that has the understanding on this. He seems to be the calming voice in all of it. And it's a lot of like, we're going to use all the malaria drugs, everybody's going to be fine. And then he has to say, like, you know, the malaria drugs actually aren't proven. We don't know. Okay, yeah, we're going to be open on Easter. We're definitely not going to be open on Easter.
Yeah.
So
there was a shot of him where Trump said something and he had to like cover his face and his mouth because he was just like, oh God. It was
something about the State Department, and he said the Deep State Department.
Yes,
and
that's right.
Yeah.
That's
so,
right.
and by the way, the conservative spin on that was that Fauci thought it was funny and he was laughing.
Ah, yes.
So,
yeah.
And
like,
oh wait, he was the. Did he turn into
Cesar Romero? He was the Cesar Romero Joker.
Oh, yeah. I thought he was the mediocre. Ha.
Oh, the mediocre.
Ha. Ha.
Did we? What is the
made a
mediocre laugh?
Faucian bargain?
Faucian bargain. I like that. Yeah, so look, we weren't as prepared as we were going to be, but I think if anybody was president, it would have ended up here. I think
For
that
sure.
there would have been ventilators and tests and things to get ready. I mean, I think when Italy happened is when, in hindsight, we should have been like, uh-oh, I think that's really a problem. But we were getting bad information. It's like, it's really only old people. Young people don't get it. Kids don't get it. And it's for the most part, it's older people, but you've seen these exceptions now. And then also a lot of the reporting is kind of wildly inaccurate. So it's, I had, let's see, I think it was the first, so yeah, so we had Sunday, March 15th. That was like, so we had the first weekend. That was kind of like our soft quarantine open, our soft quarantine weekend. We didn't officially have our quarantine weekends going on.
I love a soft.
quarantine.
I like a soft quarantine.
Yeah, we could have a soft quarantine. And, that was where, things started getting canceled. Like Felix was supposed to have a birthday party that Sunday. The birthday party moved from a park to somebody's house, and then it just didn't happen. And then, Heather and I had figured out with another family, we were going to bring our kids over to their house. It's Felix's best friend's family. And then it's like, okay, great. So we'll be there during the day. We'll help them out with their needs. They're working remotely. We're working remotely. There'll be, there's like a couple holes in the schedule where it's like me and 4 kids, which is a story for another time. But, and then there was just sort of the idea of like, wait, is that too much? Is that too many germs? And then we kind of came around to this idea of like, well, it's sort of you have to think of them as like an extension of your family. You're only seeing these people. They're not seeing other people. So we're jokingly saying that there are like our virus family, our quarantine family, but we're going steady. We're not seeing other families right now.
Yeah, we're not poly in our, we're not,
Yeah, and it's, the idea, well, there's still like 8 people there. And look, they have a much bigger yard than we do. It's great for the kids. And they get to see friends. Their kids get to see other kids because it's Felix's best friend. He has a little brother who is in Lucy's class. And, look, we still feel good about doing this. Is the second week where we're doing it. But there were a lot of questions about whether or not we should be doing it. And I was at a point that Sunday where I'm like, oh, come on, everybody who is freaking out is overreacting. And admitting that like people were taking it too casual. And I think I was too casual at that point. I do think that there are people who are still taking it too far. Now it's starting to spread more. So in another week, I might be like, yeah, I'm not going to the supermarket. If they can't deliver it, I don't need it. I mean, I've gone into restaurants to get food to take out, I was at Philly's Best today because it was National Cheesesteak Day. Come on, that was important. I had to make sure I was there for that.
Good for you.
But so I guess it was such an evolving thing, what we were supposed to do. And I made the mistake that Monday night, I think. Maybe it was, I think it was that Monday night. That was the one night where I checked the news before bed. And then I was like, I was so fucked up I couldn't sleep. And that was the night where like I was like, oh my God, my heart's racing. I feel so warm. I can't breathe. I must have the coronavirus. And I was like, no, I'm just having like a huge panic attack. And so I haven't checked the news at night. And I've always recommended that to everybody. It's like, it'll still be there in the morning. And you know what? Don't check it first thing in the morning either. Try to not let it ruin your day right away. Maybe have the cup of coffee, have something to eat. You got to look, you got to know what's happening. But don't watch it all day. I almost never watch the TV news because, first of all, fake news. Second of all, I don't want the kids to see it. I don't want them to. Felix can read well enough that he would start to ask me questions. So that's sort of my filibuster. But I'm kind of wondering, how plugged in and looking for information are you, Jeff? Are you trying to just do it at set times? Are you letting yourself be bombarded by it? Have you had like major freak out moments?
I mean, I'm more just like letting information come in because again, it's like, from what I understand of viruses and how to deal with this, it's just like keep yourself. If you get it, you just have to let your immune system do the work, and if it can't, then you have to try to go to the hospital. But it's like you should really avoid going to the hospital or ER just for a fever or anything like that, because I don't know, in my opinion, maybe this is wrong, but I'm like, just even if you had a fever or something like that, if you're not having problems breathing, like just ride it out and quarantine yourself. Like finding out you for sure have the virus isn't going to do you any, like isn't going to help. There's no cure for viruses. Your immune system has to kill it.
Well, and also if any of the three of us, knock on wood, would unfortunately get it, they not only wouldn't treat us, they probably wouldn't waste the test on us because they save them for the higher risk older people. And there are people who have like waited and, there have been like, tents in parking lots at some of the hospitals that are overcrowded, and you wait there and they're just like, yeah, we think you might have it, but we can't give you a test because you're relatively healthy. You're not having trouble breathing. So then you do have to isolate yourself, and, you will feel better. It's like if any of us got the flu, we would feel better. And of course we got the flu shot, which by the way, there's something very funny that people said. It's like, well, even when there is, some kind of immunization for this, you're still gonna have half the country that won't take it, because how many people do you guys know that don't get flu shots? I don't even know if both of you guys get flu shots. You're relatively young and healthy. You might not think you need to.
I get it from time to time during a physical, but if I'm late, my physical actually was supposed to be today, and they called me last week and were like, "Hey, we gotta cancel this. We'll figure it out later." I was like, "Ah, shit." So that's normally when I would get my flu shot, but.
So when they called you, did they say, "We're not gonna get physical"? They didn't do that at all?
They didn't do that.
Oh, that's too bad.
But they did send me the clip of the music video where that weird strap thing is shaking that woman's butt.
Yeah.
They did send me that. So that, it's something.
Yeah, but I get it most years, but there are years where I've missed sort of the window to get it, and I'm like, forget it. But I tell you, I will when there is a coronavirus shot that we can get every October, I'll get it on the first day. I think just to
the
be
tagline. There'll be billboards for it, and it'll be like a picture of the syringe, and it'll say "Coronavirus vaccine, find your beach," and it'll be like kicking it on the beach, the bucket, a bunch of other.
Maybe I'm showing my ignorance here, but it's like I've never knowingly sought out a flu shot because I don't tend to get the flu during flu season.
Sure.
So I generally have good immunities to influenza. And then if I was starting to get it seasonally, I would start getting the shot. But it's like, if I don't get it, why would I waste the money and resources? Because they're always talking about being short for certain people. So I never really sought it out because I never thought I needed it. I didn't need the boost.
Yeah. Back to the earlier question, Will, what are you doing in terms of keeping yourself informed about it? Are you avoiding the news during certain parts of the day? Do you just check once in a while, or what are you doing?
I have a New York Times subscription, so I get, the failing
New York Times. You know what I get? I get the Amazon Washington Post and the failing New York Times. They're the worst.
And so I get push notifications for updates and headlines and stuff. So but to tell you the truth, it's I also have to work, and everybody else does too, and I can only handle so much news and information about this thing every fucking goddamn day. So if it's a story that I feel like I want to click and read through, I will, but I'm always getting updates about what's happening. And but I feel I get the Sunday paper delivered, the hard copy too, and it was I've had it been delivered for like 2 years, and this is the first year that the paper usually comes in like a plastic little cover, like a sleeve that keeps it safe. And it was split open. And I was like, is there corona in my paper? And I was like, why is this split open? But it's fine. But I was reading through that, and it's like every article, even in all the lifestyle sections and in arts and all these things, like everything is about this thing. So it kind of can't be avoided. So, I mean, I'm taking it seriously. I'm staying educated, but I'm also really actively trying to keep my sanity and still exercise. I got some weights at home I can lift, some dumbbells that I can adjust. I do still go out and I'll go for a run, but I keep my social distance. And yeah, it's amazing how much I thought I was going to have time for Netflix and reading. And I feel like I haven't done any of the things I've always wanted to do.
Yeah, there are so many people on my Facebook and other social media feeds where I don't know. There's something on Netflix called Tiger King that everybody seems to watch.
It's fucking good.
I did watch the first episode last night, and it is hilarious.
Even Dennis Miller has watched it, so I'm like, all right, everybody. So I alluded to this earlier. I have no time. I'm with the kids all day, most likely, and I'm with extra kids too. And I have the shows.
You mean your wife? I understand. Yeah, the extra kid.
My wife. Yeah, just for fun. But
what's that from?
It's a character I'm working on. I'll show you him in about a year when I can get out. I do shows for AfterBuzz. Basically, where I'm sitting right now in the bunker.
You didn't even put up a screen. You just have this murder basement with Star Wars movies behind you.
It's funny that you say that. No, I actually put these here because it's like the boxes say comics and then I put the Star Wars there. We do call this the murder room, the room at the back of the garage. Because look, there's a door right here. You see it? Oh, so that door goes out to the garage. Yeah.
I don't even know where this room is.
This is in the back of my garage. You've been in my garage to get in and out of a car.
Yeah. I didn't know there was another room.
Yeah. This is my recording studio. This is where
Wi-Fi.
This is where I cut
my. Goes on.
I'm shocked that my Wi-Fi works here, especially because I'm streaming video too. So yeah, I'll do AfterBuzz shows here. We did our first remote shows. We did 2 shows of the Dennis Miller option on Monday. Dennis could hear my kids yelling in the background, but it wasn't loud enough where he could actually hear what they were saying. So it was just like him telling me to be quiet so he could hear them, but then he couldn't really hear them. So
yeah.
I don't.
You just heard them in a distance going, "You see that barn? Do you see that barn?"
Is that a Lucy impression?
That's Lucy saying, "Do you see that barn?" Yeah.
I thought it was them making even older references than Dennis generally does, so that he goes, "What the fuck?" And no one's seen that.
Here's the craziest thing: Felix came in and he's like, "Who am I? Link from the Mod Squad?" So, in any case, so
Lucy comes up and is like, "This is a bigger twist than the cabinet of Dr. Caligari."
I like that one. That was a good Dennis reference. So, in any case, it's like the amount of time that people are finding. Like, I'm watching Star Trek Picard because I'm doing the after show, which, by the way, all the episodes of Star Trek Picard available free now. You don't have to subscribe to CBS All Access. So anybody who wants that information, do with it as you will. SiriusXM is giving out.
That gets my prick hard.
that is great.
SiriusXM is giving out 3 free months. I mentioned it to fucking Salman. He's like, "Yeah, my car doesn't have it." I'm like, "No, you dummy. You're not supposed to be in your car anyway. Listen to it on your computer or on the app." I think Amazon Prime has like all their children's programming free because we are inside with our kids a lot. Even, the worst was like that. Well, the worst is the fact that we don't go outside hardly ever. But the first weekend here in LA, it like rained. So it's like you really didn't go outside. And it was just like, oh my God, this is what it's going to be for 2 weeks. Back when we thought it was going to only be 2 weeks. So in any case, I don't have time to find the fucking Tiger King, but I would love to. I still haven't even finished the McDonald's documentary from HBO. Have you guys watched that?
I watched part of it. The Tiger
No,
King
not yet.
was way better. The McDonald's
No.
one was like, meh.
Here's the thing with the McDonald's one. I've gotten through 5 of the 6. If it was a 2-hour documentary, it would have been the most fun, entertaining thing ever. But they stretched it out to 6 hours, and
Yeah, no
there's not enough there. It's super interesting that it happened, but I'm just like, man, I need a Joss Whedon cut of this. They need to just, take all the fat off of it. So look, I want to find out more about Tiger King. I just haven't had the time. I would love to. But so Jeff, how much of it have you seen of Tiger King?
The whole thing.
Oh my God, how many is it?
There's 7 episodes, but they're like 48-minute episodes,
All right.
so it goes by pretty quick overall.
Well, maybe after Picard's over, I'll try and get to it. But I don't know. I've got all this other stuff that I haven't watched. But so let's see. What were some of the key points that I wanted to make sure we talked about? Oh, so there was, obviously the idea of jumpstarting the economy is something, but there's this like huge stimulus package that it's like $1 trillion. We're all going to get like $1,000. Kids will get like $500.
Yeah.
And my joke was like, wait a minute, a government stimulus package with $1 trillion and giving checks to everyone. Did I miss the fact when Bernie Sanders became our president? Because that sounds like what he'd want to do. And the, we've maybe been a little, we've certainly been critical of the way President Trump has handled things. But then when you hear that the bill didn't pass, it did pass tonight, I think. But I guess because Nancy Pelosi put in money for the Kennedy Center and they wanted to make sure that the Green New Deal passed. And to some people, the Green New Deal is super important. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't know that right now is when you're trying to pass it. Just give people some fucking money so that we aren't pressured to try and open the country on Easter when clearly we should not. Somebody that I know posted that, if it's open on Easter Sunday, these churches are going to be full of people and it'll be, worse than the scene from the end of the Kingsman. I don't know if you guys saw the first Kingsman movie, but
I did.
Yeah, there's a lot of bloodshed in a church. So I think that's shitty, but I guess that's the way politics work. And no matter what party you're registered to vote in their primary, they're all full of shit and everybody's terrible in their own way. Some people more terrible, like the bipartisan terribleness of everybody from that coronavirus meeting a few weeks ago, who then sold off their millions of dollars worth of stocks, but then also said, don't worry anybody, everything's okay. But I sold off all of my stocks to the tunes of, millions of dollars. Some of them Republicans, but there's plenty of Democrats that did it too.
Christian, what if I told you that Tiger King ran for president in 2016?
Did he win?
Obviously.
Yeah, well, because that makes perfect sense, actually. I was the king of all the tigers. Tiger Woods has nothing on me. Fuck you, Daniel Tiger. But
Tiger, Christian. Tiger.
He hasn't been fun Tiger in a long time.
It doesn't matter.
He used to be fun Tiger though. That was a good memory. You're doing a good job on your writing the biography of Felix Blatt. Felix Jang Blatt.
That's right.
But I don't know. So those two things that I brought up. There's Democrats slowing down the stimulus package, and also the elected officials who had insider information and then traded all of their shares away. It's apparently not insider trading, but it sure sounds like it. Well, I don't know. I mean, nothing's happened to them yet. If something happens to them, it'll be a different story.
I actually haven't read this story.
The insider trading thing?
Yeah.
So there's like 5, I believe, senators who are or at this point, when I had read the story, it was like we're being indicted or something was going on because they had mass sell-offs of stocks in like airplane and hotel industries after a meeting about the virus, but before they had like had any public press conferences or talked about anything. And in fact, one of the Republicans had this, sold off a bunch of his stocks, and then had tweeted something like, "This is a hoax. Don't worry about it. Like, do your shit." And it was just like, "Oh wow, you're the devil."
So that is, yes, that is a Republican. That is Richard Burr of North Carolina, and he's the one whose wife, I don't know, like works on like the stock exchange or something. I'm not, well, by the way, Will, the fact that you don't know this story shows everything I say about the failing New York Times is true. You don't even know about these people.
If it's Republicans doing this, you think the New York Times would be fucking up and down everybody's phones about this. Actually, to be honest with you, I actually expected this more from Democrats than I did from Republicans.
You expected
trading?
Yeah, the insider trading, yeah, for sure. Democrats are great.
They do love insider trading.
But they also are really great at pretending to give a lot of shit and then fucking the entire idea of what it means to be like a liberal person. And
do you think that like all the senators just like go to the back of Congress and open up their folders and go through like the different laminated pages and then trade with one another?
I hope so. Like Pokemon cards. Like,
yeah.
Oh, I got a fucking first edition Charizard stock in Apple. You should trade this with me. Go trade this for your first edition holographic Microsoft stock.
Gotta catch them all. Republican senator from Georgia, Kelly Loeffler. So Burr and Loeffler together sold off about $4 million in stock. That's combined.
By the way, that was actually the name of my 1970s era buddy cop show.
Burr and Loeffler.
Yeah, bummer that I gotta change the name of it now.
That was my made-for-TV version of Hobbs and Shaw.
Yes.
But there were Democratic New Hampshire Senator Jeanne Shaheen.
Shaheen.
So you have, and there were some like I don't know, state officials. So there are both, but those two have apparently sold off the most. So anyway, Will, your thoughts on that, and then also the stimulus.
I am not surprised anytime anybody's willing to take advantage of a crisis to profit. The same way that people buy and stockpile toilet paper and Purell and sell it for like $100 a bottle, even though it doesn't really do anything. Good for you, Christian. You finally got that delivered from Amazon. Never really. Oh my God. Well, you got 2 children. I imagine they
literally don't have any TP in my house. So guess where I'm coming when literally.
Jeff, if you need some, I will give you one of the, inside the package. There's like the little roll. There's like 6 for $600. You can Venmo me. But here's the thing: I will then bring it to your house and I'll leave it out front outside the gate. So
wear gloves. You got to wear gloves
That's the delivery charge, though. That's fine.
I just use the kitchen sink as a bidet. It's all good.
But yeah, I mean.
Not surprised that those kind of things would happen. I will say, and even though I'm a very optimistic person, this makes me feel like I'm proven right as an individual, but surprised to be proven right in this capacity, especially in like a highly metropolitan area like Los Angeles. People, by and large, being real great to each other. No major like looting, violence, trampling over each other in stores. People generally being like, yeah, this is fucking madness. So I guess we should kind of take care of each other. And they're doing that.
Yeah.
And
and I don't know. I see when I would go out, because that first weekend I went out on that Saturday, I went to a few different Targets. I was actually not looking for toilet paper. Although there was a different day where I went into one. There's like 3 Targets near me. So I went to one of them to look for just for some kids stuff. I don't know. I think it was diapers for Lucy. And I walked in. It was almost like an SNL sketch, if they were still doing the show right now. everyone was walking around holding one of these packages of toilet paper, and it had that effect where I'm like, well, fuck, I got to get one of those, you know. It was
needed to be a Starbelly Sneech.
Yeah, I was totally a Starbelly Sneech, and I got it. And the lady next to me was like, "I'm sorry, this is $25.99. I think last week it was $17.99." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna still buy it." I'm like, but she's like, "Yeah, I don't want it." And I'm like, "All right." So when she's shitting in the backyard, then she can remember that she quibbled over $6-7. Although I will say that I haven't seen price gouging, but there's like sort of the subtle gouging where it's like nothing is at the sale price. Everything is the full retail price, and there's no deals. There's we did order a bunch of stuff from Target to be shipped, and we somehow qualified for extra gift cards. I'm like, well, I'm surprised they're giving that away right now. But things that you're like, oh, I thought that cost $5.99, but it costs $8.99, and I don't know. So that it's.
You think preppers are just laughing at everybody else right now, just like, you stupid fucks.
Hey, I will show you that this room that I'm in, and the people listening can't see this, but look, this is where we have our canned goods just in case.
Whoa.
Yeah. So.
Hey, I got really high the other night, and I ate one of our cans of rations, Chef Boyardee ravioli, which I demanded that Katie buy, and she did. And then I got high and I ate it.
I think I took pictures. I thought of you because we talked about it. I gave the kids SpaghettiOs for the first time, so it was the Will Starling Breakfast of Champions.
Did you feed it to him right out of the can? Not even heated up?
No, I heated it up.
We talked about this, right?
Yeah, we talked about this on the previous
Let me tell
episode.
you something that I need to, because the Bladtcast Nation might not even know that I'm currently in a relationship. Did we talk about this?
I don't think we talked about it, no.
Okay, well, spilling the tea, you guys. Tea spilled. Anyway, this girlfriend of mine, who is a tremendously wonderful individual, the other night I was like, oh yeah, I got really high and I ate this can of Chef Boyardee ravioli right out of the can. And she's like, I love eating that out of the can.
Oh my
gosh. I was like, I'm sorry? And she was like, yeah, Chef Boyardee, just like right out of the can. I was like, yeah, like a can of chili, you just eat it right out of the can. She was like, yeah, not even heated up. And I was like, yeah, no. She was like, yeah, I love that. I was like, oh, you're special.
Yeah, she's what we call a keeper. If she's eating the chili right out of the can.
Who's my kind of weirdo who eats Chef Boyardee right out of the can, not even heated up. Not even heated up over a little hobo fire like Christopher Lloyd playing the bad guy in the Dennis Menace movie.
That's when you knew you were ready to take it to the next level.
That's
pegging.
Right.
Well,
I was like, take that empty can and shove it up my ass. Yeah.
Well, speaking of eating things right from the can, there is actually some funny stories that we're able to find at these times. New York City has declared war on rib jobs in a graphic health department memo.
Rim jobs?
No.
On rim jobs, yeah. New York City's Department of Health is bending over backwards. Hey, wait a minute. This is from the New York Post. To warn the public about a whole new threat, rim jobs. So the city's health agency issued graphic guidelines for safe sex practices during the coronavirus pandemic. So basically they're saying, look, most of the time rim jobs are fine. Right now, this is not when you should be doing a rim job. I don't know. I don't know if I agree with this. Isn't this the time more than ever? It's like, I don't know when I'm going to get a chance to have a rim job again. Go ahead. Is it that you shouldn't give a rim job or you shouldn't receive? Because if you receive, you're just sharing your germs. You're not taking them in. I don't know. Jeff, you're our rim job expert. What do you think?
Well, my first question is, do you think that corona is transmitted by farts?
Oh, good question. Possible, but I don't know. I think if you're nude, yes. But if you fart and you have your clothes on, I think it's okay.
Then the clothes absorb the corona?
Yeah, that's what I think, yeah.
Makes sense. As far as eating ass goes, I gotta say, if you're into that chocolate delight, then pretty much like you're probably impervious to all germs and things, and you should just keep at it.
Yeah, have at it.
We're good.
Yeah, as that one song says. I can't remember what the song is, and I can't remember who says it, but I remember the lyric. Gotta eat the booty like groceries. So,
Oh.
if
Oh.
Amazon and all these places are having slow delivery days, eat that booty like groceries, and maybe you'll be okay.
I'm just like, I really like, when I think about how into eating ass people are, it makes me feel bad about myself. And here's why. I'm just like, I fart way too much. I just imagine that my ass is way too disgusting. So like, are the people that eat or have their asses eaten, are they either demanding or having their assholes cleaned regularly? Are you cleaning it right before the ass eating? Like how, or are you just into poo poo? And so this is just like, oh, the dirtier the better.
Sometimes it's a gamble, Jeff. Sometimes you don't know what you're gonna get, and
my mama said life is like a box of eaten ass. You never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, not saying I can speak from experience, but sometimes you just never know.
The idea. Look, I'm in a very loving relationship with my wife. We've been together for, oh my God, almost 16 years now. We've been married for almost 11, and the idea of eating ass has not crept into my mind in that time.
Really?
In my younger, more single days, shit would happen that was crazy. I never went down there for that. And I don't know. Nobody ever tried. There was a girl who did try to stick her finger in my ass once.
I was just about to say it's one of my favorite stories because of your response to her. Yeah. Yes.
Well, because you look at you remembering my story. Because she was from Prague, the Czech Republic.
Oh, Praha, yes.
Praha. But she wanted to check that asshole.
And I said, no, we don't do that here.
When you told it to me, it was, no, honey, we don't do that here.
You know what I actually,
she was going for the Prague state.
When I said it right now, I was like, why didn't I say honey? Because I knew I said it wrong. I said, no, honey, we don't do that here.
I love that you said honey, because you're like, also, I can't get out of my now, the Czech Republic of pie. The Czech Republic of American pie.
Oh, my God, the Czech Republic of American pie. By the way, the song you were talking about, Omarion featuring Chris Brown and Gene Aiko.
Omarion.
Omarion.
Big Ryan and
I might let
Chris
Chris Brown, who apparently still has a career, so
can't cancel that guy. Yeah, God, no matter what he does, you just can't cancel him.
Does that
He's
just
always beating his case.
Oh boy.
Does that just mean that was your first oh boy in a while? Does that just mean people hate Rihanna? Is that why they still like Chris Brown? Anyway, so here's the lyric though. I might let your boy chauffeur me, but he got to eat the booty like groceries. But he got to get rid of these hoes from me. So that's the full context of that. But Will Starling eating booty like groceries.
Yeah, sometimes it's takeout, sometimes it's delivery, sometimes you're dining in, Christian. You never know what you're gonna get.
No, honey, we don't do that here. Oh. Now I have to think, I'm like, oh, do I go and just fix it so that I said it that way the first time? But I'm like, nah, that involves editing and
then this whole conversation wouldn't make any sense.
No, the joy is how much I actually love that story, that I remember the way that you told it to me the first time, and the usage of you saying the word honey was like really sold it.
Yeah. I remember that day very well. Let's just put it that way. But this is how long ago it was. We went to see Blair Witch Project in the movie theater. So.
Oh boy, that was the same day?
Yeah, we packed a lot into that day.
Something about the Blair Witch.
Yeah. No, I didn't let her because no, honey, we don't do that here.
Yeah, and so when she told you had to use a condom. And you said, no, we do Bear Witch, honey. She said no.
I think that if I had tried to not use one, she probably would have been okay with it. But
now, how did the sequel to this endeavor go? Bear Witch 2, Book of Shadows, the one where nobody's wearing a condom. The gangbang one you did?
Well, the next time I saw her, I was in Prague. I was deathly ill. I needed her to take me to a pharmacy because I didn't speak Praha, and she like got me some medicine because it was very clear before I met up with her that we would not be having sex in Prague. So that's why I got sick.
Is this really happened?
Yeah, that was in like that was the next
I
year.
was trying to make a
No, I know.
Witch,
No, if it was
Witch.
If it was a joke, I would have had a better a better punchline to it. No, that's what really happened the next time.
I should have said bareback witch.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think we're getting pretty close to the time to end. That's usually where it is. So look, I don't know. It's such a weird time, and I think it's okay for people to feel any way that they do. I've sort of, softly mentioned a couple times to people that there's just moments where it usually ties into my kids when like Felix asking me when they're gonna have the big Easter egg hunt that we have here in Burbank every year. So sometimes stuff like that disarms me, and like, oh, why is my school not open? So there was a stretch of like 4 days where I cried a little bit every day, and I think if I didn't have kids, I would have been fine. But it's just like, oh fuck, why do they have to deal with this?
Here's the thing. You prepare them for the real world by telling them exactly what they need to hear to toughen them up, Christian. This is Donald Trump's America. So when Felix asks what happened to the school, you say it burned down. When he asks if the Easter egg hunt is going to happen, you say that the Easter egg bunny was murdered. So we're not doing that anymore.
Burning down this is the age of school shooting. So just say there was an active shooter.
Well,
oh God! I don't know why I was like.
Here's what happened to the Easter Bunny. We sent ICE to Easter Island. He was here illegally, going into people's houses, leaving.
Go back where you belong with all those weird heads, you freak bunny.
Go back. Anyway, so and I don't know. I mean, I've been developing because. The shows I've done for AfterBuzz, the first week especially, we would get around to talking about the show, but it was just sort of like, I would ask everybody how they were doing, things that had happened. And I'm like, oh, I feel like this part is super cathartic. And so I'm developing a show where I think I'll just talk to people from AfterBuzz about, because look, a lot of them are people who live by themselves or maybe have a roommate. It's a lot of like younger people, kind of like you fellas there. Will's got a roommate. Jeff's got a girlfriend and a dog. But I don't even know why I went into the voice. But it's and the idea was presented that it's like, yeah, it should be positive and uplifting. I'm like, look, there are going to be people that are not feeling very positive and maybe don't want to feel okay right now because it's too much. And there's people who let's just say friends of friends really, who just don't go outside for anything. They don't let anybody from their specific household. They can't go to the grocery store. It all has to be delivered. It's all like, and look, I do understand getting to that point. And like I said before, in 2 weeks, I might be like, I just don't need it. If the numbers keep going up the way they are, but I don't know. I think that the point that I just feel like is important is that it's gonna be okay, but it's not gonna be okay for a while, and it's like you should be okay with saying like, that freaks me out and I'm actually not okay right now. So like every once in a while, there's people that I check in with to just see how they're doing, and it's always easy to talk to you guys, but I just thought that it'd be good for us to talk because I like catching up with you guys. But anybody, Bladtcast Nation also has 0 cases of coronavirus. Knock on wood.
Hey, I got to say, actually, I got to give a shout out to Matt and KC. I feel very spoiled because I must be the favorite. Even though it's called the Bladtcast, we're going to have to change the name to the Will Taraj cast. Matt and KC saw that I was smoking meats many weeks ago. and was like, oh, I love like smoked meat, blah, blah. He's like, I know a great like dry rub for meat smoking. Purchased this dry rub for me alongside many, many things of beef, so many things of beef jerky that if I ran out of food, I could eat this beef jerky for the next like 2 weeks.
Wow.
Sent it to my house. Been cooking with the Frank Stoicich all meat seasoning, Frank Stoicich meats, eating the beef jerky. I would send them to you guys, but it could be infected. I might have it. You don't know.
We don't
So
know.
I'm not going to share.
Sure.
But anyway, Matt and Casey keeping me happy and well fed during this crisis.
Yeah, he is. God, I don't know why he loves the show so much. I can't understand how David Hines has gone back. He's already re-listened to the first 100 Bladtcasts.
That's amazing. Well, now he's got nothing but time, so he's
well, now it makes sense.
Yeah.
And he wrote some really funny reviews of some of our recent episodes that he sent to me. I sent them to him early because I couldn't remember what we talked about. So I wanted his notes so I could write the description. And I'll read those at some point in the future. I don't want them to go to waste. They were actually really funny. But look, it's great to have people like Matt and Casey and people who love the Bladtcast for the reasons that, the rest of my life I might not ever figure out. But we always want to hear from everybody. We want to know how you're feeling about all of this. Did us helping at all? Did us talking help at all? I mean, there's the last week in particular, there wasn't a lot of stuff, but being able to just people who were working like on Sirius XM, this morning show that both Zia and I bonded over with the comedian Jim Norton and this other guy, Sam Roberts. They were doing their show from remote locations, and it was something where people were talking about it, but being able to make jokes where the things were funny. And that actually, the day I freaked out, that helped calm me down a little bit because I was awake at 4 a.m. when Pacific time when it started. So I don't know if it helps anybody to talk about it. We're here, and I do want Jason Blair to come on very soon and talk about this awful trip that he took. That I
by
felt,
himself.
No, he brought his wife and his triplets.
Oh,
They came out. They came out. They were going to go to Disneyland. And they ended up, at his aunt's house.
You know what he should have told him? Disneyland burned down. And all you got to do is life's hard sometimes, but you got to buck up. You got to pick yourself. I started my first business with only $1 million, Christian. And
you did?
Sometimes, oh yeah, sometimes you lose, sometimes you win.
Was it $1 million that was loaned to you by your father? Because that might be what the president did.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Well, as the recently departed Kenny Rogers would say, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away, know when to run. Jeff DeRay, do you ever count your money when you're standing at the table?
All the time.
Well, there'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done, Jeff. So you guys stay safe.
Yeah, well, the dealing's done for Kenny. He's off to that big Kenny Rogers Roasters in the Sky. Kenny Rogers Roasters in the Sky.
Isn't roasting like a thing you do down below?
Hey, I didn't say that. That's Jeff DeRay. Jeff DeRay. So you guys are mostly at home, but so what's tomorrow for you guys? You got work, but what are you going to do with the rest of your day, Jeff?
The same thing I do every day. Sit in my chair and gain weight.
So who weighs more, Jeff DeRay or DeRay Jeff?
Well, Jeff DeRay has a lot weighing on him. DeRay Jeff weighs a lot.
Yeah, he weighs on my mind a lot of the time.
He just tweeted too. I don't know if you saw it.
DeRay Jeff did?
Yeah.
DeRay Jeff.
Oh, I love DeRay Jeff.
Your phones. He's hilarious. That guy is hilarious.
I do love DeRay Jeff. Yeah. Oh yeah, and every once in a while, by the way, I'll see something on Twitter that horrifies me that shouldn't. But it was yesterday or the day before. McDonald's in the UK and Ireland all closed down. Even for like takeout, and you're like, wait, that can happen. Do you think?
What about Denny's? They're always open.
Oh, not anymore. Do you think Jesus is just waiting there on Easter Island like WTF? And that's a great picture of, what is that? Is that Spanky from our gang?
I believe so.
Yeah, the Little Rascals. Fans of 90 Day Fiance, keep an eye out for my coronavirus-inspired spin-off, 2 Fortnite with a Foreigner.
I've been watching a lot of 90 Day.
Do-Ray Jeff is just wrong, man.
Wow.
This is
Fortnite with a Foreigner?
This one is much older. I think one of the worst feelings is wanting to feel loved by others, but never being able to get or see past your own self-hatred.
This is like going back and reading those old Jebediah 120 tweets.
Oh, I'll save that for
I'm gonna
another
have to
day.
look that up.
Yeah, Jebediah 120. I'll read another day. Your day to day. I mean, you try to get a pump inside the house. Do you go?
Yeah,
do you go running? Do you do anything, or?
I'm sure if I was a famous person, I would get raked over the coals for saying that my favorite joke to say is like, I got to get that quarantine body. So, you got to get that quarantine body, Christian. You got to still get your heart rate up. You got to lift some weights.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to actively make this an excuse to just like eat pizza and fuck around.
Well, yeah, I had been working to lose weight earlier in the year, and I just, eased up on some of those restrictions, mostly because it's like, oh my God, the supermarket doesn't have cauliflower rice.
Oh no.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm so stressed out all the time that I'm continuing to lose weight, and I now weigh. Yeah, now I weigh what I did on my wedding day, which was like the low for the last like 15 years or something. So, yeah, I think the stress is helping. So hey, there's that.
The stress is good for something, I guess.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think that I just want people to stay safe and don't be those fucking assholes who went to spring break and the stupid governor who didn't close the beaches. It's just like,
it's like Jaws. We gotta close the beaches.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
What?
Yeah, and then
We've seen this before, except Jaws is just it's invisible. Invisible sharks are real, and it's COVID-19.
We're gonna need to build a much bigger boat, but
yeah.
There's nobody I'd rather have in that boat with me than Do-Ray Jeff, but since he's not a real person, I'll settle for Jeff Do-Ray, who's on Twitter and Instagram at Jeff Do-Ray. Anything else people should know about you, Jeff Do-Ray?
Don't know anything about me. Stop listening in on my conversations.
That is never going to happen. And of course, at Will Starling _.
That's me.
And the rebranding of Motivation Report, is that on the back burner right now?
It is on the back burner, but it's still happening.
It's
been on the, it gives me time to formulate a plan,
To try and take over the world.
Exactly.
And we'll try to keep the Bladtcast on the front burner. We've got some friends that we can Zoom in with. By the way, any of us, I wonder if any of those senators who sold all that stock, if any of them bought stock in Zoom? Because
Zoom and House Party.
Yeah, I had never heard of Zoom before this.
Oh, really? We use it for work all the time.
Oh yeah, no, not me.
What is House? Kid and Play are kicking themselves right now?
What is House Party? Is it the same as Zoom or?
No, it's like an app where you can all get together via video, like FaceTime, and play games and talk and do stuff.
Oh, all right. Well. All right. Well, on that note, this has been a Bladtcast that somehow went longer than expected for the first time ever. That's never happened before. But I appreciate everybody tuning in, and please let us know how you're doing, and we'll be back to visit with you very soon. In the meantime, you can like the Bladtcast on Facebook, follow at Bladtcast on Twitter, bladtcast.com for some of your Bladtcast needs. Me? Oh, I'm on Twitter and Instagram at ChristianDMZ, and you can find me Tuesdays and Thursdays on the Dennis Miller option on Westwood One, and Thursday nights over on AfterBuzz TV, the Star Trek Picard After Show. The season finale will be this Thursday, and every Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific on the Popcorn Talk for Marvel Movie News. My plugs are longer than the actual show. Speaking of plugs, we haven't even talked about Joe Biden, but we'll have to get to that. We'll have to get to that next time. Anyway, thank you guys, and of course you gals also out there in the audience. We will see you next time on the Bladtcast. Thanks, guys. I know that was an hour 40.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
It's easy.
Sorry I was late. I thought I was going to be able to call in on my house phone because I was worried since I didn't have a speaker for a mic for my computer. So I was trying to call in on the phone and it was just like ringing.
You sound good.
Oh, you were calling on my phone?
No, I was calling. So I was trying to call in on the number, the ID, because it's phone, the same as a phone number. So I was trying to call in directly from my landline because I thought it would give a better connection, but it wasn't working. That's why I was a little late.
Oh, yeah, I never saw that. So, well, thanks for trying.
It might just be that it doesn't work or something that way. I don't know, because it was clearly as soon as I went on the laptop, it worked first click.
Cool. All right. Well, I don't know. We'll figure out. I know we're going to do some live tweeting next week, but we'll figure all of it out, and we'll do more of this soon. Thank you, guys. Oh, I forgot to put. Well, you know what? This will be the part that's like after the song anyway, so will still be in there. What I was the first couple after shows I did. I thought it was sort of funny, but I liked the advice. I borrowed a phrase from Jerry Springer.
Oh.
And I said to everybody, take care of yourselves and each other. He would say that every show. And I'm like,
really?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of appropriate. It's kind of appropriate right now. So
can we call this Bladtcasting from the brink?
The brink?
Yeah. Like the brink of extinction. Bladtcasting from the brink.
It is from the brink. Yeah. I don't know. There was something that one of you said earlier that would be a really funny title, but I, of course, didn't write it down. So
you have to listen back to all hours.
No, I'll just send it to David Hines and be like, what's the funny thing that we said that would make a good title? Thanks, buddy. All right. Well, thank you, guys. I don't know. At some point, I'm going to sleep, but it's probably not now. All right. Good night, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.